Well, here's a big homie tip. Sometimes you don't want to be the star. You got to let somebody else shine. In this case, Dilla has to shine. You can find me on the spine. Jesus, what wouldn't I tell myself in my 20s? I love mentors, and I love working for and learning from mentors. And one of the people who I had a chance to work for, my hero in my early 20s. I got hired by Rick Rubin. I mean, that's like going to work for the Pope, right? I'm the Pope, you're gonna come work for me, you can handle the, you can handle the sacraments, or you can handle confessions. You're the head of the confessions department. Like, that's what it was like going to work for Rick Rubin.
He's so good!
And so I think I subordinated myself, my tastes, some of my tastes at least. I didn't sign acts that I thought were good for me. I said, well, is this going to be good enough for Rick, who had this reputation like that? And I think I would have gone back and told myself, listen, while you do your work for people, you also have to be working for yourself. One of the things I would have done was, listen, if you're going to be in the record business, you can't just spend other people's money. You actually have to go into business for yourself. Put out a record of your own, right? Always put out some kind of record of your own. And I had the ability, I could get the resources. I just didn't do it because I didn't think it was important to own. I didn't learn that until much later. So I think ownership for me would have been a healthy thing in my 20s. It would have given me a little bit more grounding in the things that I needed to be grounded in. Because then as an A&R person, I wasn't concerned so much with the bottom line. And I didn't sign a lot of things that because they had hit potential. And Rick encouraged not doing that. But I also think that was fallacious in a way and not healthy even for him, because he lost his deal with Warner Brothers because he just wasn't selling enough records to merit the business structure of that deal. So being in business for yourself is a really healthy thing. And you can do both. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't. We are in an economy, a particular vicious brand of capitalism, this post-digital capitalism, that does not provide many means for creators of what they call content, what we might call art or journalism, or research, right? It doesn't provide the means for us to make money off of our product that we did in the pre-digital era, because in order to get our product, you had to buy it in fixed form. You can now buy this on Kindle, as an ebook. And that costs a lot less for the consumer, but it also yields a lot less for the producer of that work. So we're still figuring this all out. And while we figure it out, we are going to have to find ways to subsidize what we do as artists. But of course, if you become successful at what you do, there is a chance that you could live off your art. But even in living off your art, the other thing you have to understand is that then you have to become the business person. For the most part, you cannot neglect the business part of what you do. One of the saddest story from this book, Dilla Time, is symbolized by Jay Dilla very early on telling his mother, his mother sort of handled all of his business. He didn't even really have a manager. And she took care of his incoming checks. She took care of his bills. And at one time he yelled at her. He said, "I don't ever want to see a bill. I don't ever want to see a bill." And as a result, when he died, he had nothing. He had less than nothing. He had about $500,000 in debt to Uncle Sam because he had never paid that important bill, and it was his heirs who were forced to pay that bill over the course of more than a decade. I teach young aspirants to the music business. That's what I do for a living. I teach undergrads who want to become artists and producers and managers and music journalists and music tech people, songwriters. All of those folks need a broad education in not only the musicianship, not only the production, but business and the history of things and writing. Like, I teach history and writing to these students. And the theme for our institute, the Clive Davis Institute, is one of entrepreneurship, that everybody is essentially an entrepreneur. You're either an artist entrepreneur, or you're a producer entrepreneur, you're a songwriting entrepreneur, and that makes sense. It is also, while it makes sense, it's also a little sad, because some people don't want to be entrepreneurs. They don't want to be in business. They want to be in art. And we don't have public subsidies for art in the United States, like, say, the Canadians have. And so we are forced to either do that for ourselves or enter into partnerships with people who complement each other. So that's actually one big homie tip, is to really, really find partners who complement you. And you have to complement each other. There is a relationship between art and commerce, and some of the best careers come out of that combination of people who handle the business and people who handle the art. And if that relationship is somewhat equitable, then you can have longevity. For me, the lesson has been to find partners who are enthusiastic about you. I've had an agent. I had an agent at a major agency in Los Angeles, one of the top 3 agencies in the world. But that person was not enthusiastic about me. I've had managers who were big, big name, but couldn't get them on the phone. It is better to have somebody in your corner who gives you energy, even if they are in a lesser, so-called lesser institution or situation. Because energy begets energy and power begets power. And 2 folks who combine their energies, no matter who they are, little brother is an example, right? Folks who are aligned in their energies have incredible and can attain incredible velocity. And then the agencies will come, then the managers will come, then everybody will come out, and then you can basically tell them, well, you didn't shake my hand back then, so you can kiss my ass now. I would not be a journalist covering rap today, and I wouldn't begin. I don't know. It's more of a facetious answer. I think that journalism itself is very hard right now. There are less and less venues that will pay money for freelance work. Certainly less places hiring. The places that are hiring, they're in business and then they're out of business because they are venture capital funded things that don't have good business plans and don't have good footing in the market, and they act like they're just there to, and they are there just to be good investments for people who want to make a quick buck. Those are not the circumstances under which to do good journalism. I think that the future of journalism may lie in nonprofits. It has to, because the profit motive is not serving journalism well. It's not serving our society well at all. I've never been much of a prognosticator. I don't think I can tell you what the future of the music business is, or what the rap music business is. I would say my tip is really watch out for fads. I know NFTs are like a big thing right now, and I do believe that there are some people who are super serious about them and have serious intent, and there are others who are just like, oh, let's turn everything into an NFT, right? It's just a tool. Tools can be used for good, and they can be used for ill. Social media has done some amazing things, and social media has wrecked some things. So every tool has the ability to be used for good or ill. You always have to watch how a tool is being used. That's a big homie tip right there. Learn how to collaborate, and specifically learn how to edit and be edited. That is one thing I think that we lack training in as artists. Learn how to collaborate, and specifically learn how to edit and be edited. That is one thing I think that we lack training in as artists. That we tend to see ourselves through our own vision for something and not as craftspeople working in a marketplace of ideas. You have to be able to take feedback, and if you close yourself off from the feedback loop, you deprive yourself of perfection. You deprive yourself of, some of the greatest things that I've ever done have come via a correction, come via an edit. And one of the ways to learn how to be edited is to edit things, right? To work, if you're an artist who doesn't like people, like Erykah Badu says, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit, well then you need to work with artists on the other side to see what that's like, to see what it's like to give feedback. So you learn how to give feedback better, and you also learn how to take it, and not to take it so personally, to know when to take it and know when to push back. That's super important for an artist, and it's not taught. Lastly, I will say, we all know how to start something, but the art of finishing is really something that we don't cultivate. There's a story I love, Lorne Michaels, who's been the producer of Saturday Night Live since 1975. He says, we don't go on at 11:30 because we're ready. We go on at 11:30 because it's 11:30. At some point, you have to finish, right? And this is something, I wrote a book about how chefs relate to time and resources and this idea of mise en place. Dinner is at 6. You can't say, oh, I'm sorry, everybody waiting for their tables in the restaurant, come back at 7. You can't do that. You have to create with a sense of urgency. It doesn't mean that you're going to create horrible product because of it, or that you're going to have to make these horrible compromises. It means that you have to create with an eye towards finishing and iterating and getting things out. Because if you don't get them out, then you don't get the feedback. If you don't get the feedback, you don't even get to perfection. It's not like, as an artist, oh, I create this thing insulated from the world and I deliver it to you and it's perfect. No, man, you need people to give you feedback, give you notes, tell you what's good, what's not so great. You have to be able to take that feedback. Then you go back into the lab and you polish the thing. Our conception of art as this thing that happens in isolation, in purity, in this platonic bubble is not serving us. It doesn't serve art, it doesn't serve us as people, and it certainly doesn't serve our business. So learning how to finish things and having a finishing mentality is super important for an artist.